My people, Natasha Akpabio's sexual harassment with Akpabio has been trending for almost 3 months now. Now, because of this court case issue, Natasha Akpabio has refused out of court settlement, which was issued by Akpabio's lawyer. This time around, this woman said no, that out of court settlement for what reason? She expressed her discontent with the settlement proposal, saying out of court settlement to settle how, who, what about how I felt. I don't know how to explain it. I am not looking for an out of court settlement for today, and as of now, it is out of it. I don't think I am looking for it because nobody has to suffer this amount of intimidation just because she is speaking out her truth. The senator also emphasized that the focus should be on justice, not settlement. It is not about settlement, it is about justice, she said, expressing her frustration with the situation. She equally added that Akpabio's actions are sending a negative signal to President Tinubu's government. He should subject himself to an investigation. Akpabio's refusal to settle follows Akpabio's request for her to substantiate her claims, which he contended lacked adequate evidence. The lawyer had earlier called on the senators to provide more proof in support of her sexual harassment allegations, arguing that they fell short of the necessary threshold to constitute a valid case of harassment. In his response, Akpabio urged Akpabio to provide further evidence of her claims, especially after having previously indicated that she would do so. He pointed out the contradictions between Akpabio's statement and actions, particularly regarding the timeline of the alleged harassment. Allegations must be scrutinized with diligence and care to avoid weaponizing them for vendetta. Akpabio said he questioned the senator's behavior, especially how she praised Akpabio publicly on social media shortly after the alleged incident. On one hand, you complained about sexual harassment on December 8, 2023, but on the other hand, you praised Senator Akpabio, who you alleged sexually harassed you on December 9, 2023. Akpabio pointed out he referred to these contradictions as requiring careful consideration. Akpabio also noted that while Natasha had described the alleged harassment as occurring on December 8, she had continued to speak highly of Akpabio on social media on December 9, praising his birthday event in Oyo, Akwa State. He called these actions contradictory and questioned the senator's motivations, urging the public to consider the inconsistencies in her story. While Akpabio did not outright deny the possibility of harassment, he equally emphasized the importance of thorough investigation and due process, stating there is no defined description of harassment. It could be words or behavior, but I doubt any absolute physical act in respect of Mrs. Akpabio and Akpabio. What is your take? Kindly watch the rest of the video. Please, if you finish watching, you never subscribe, do wait to subscribe. Subscription now free, so make it a watch updates, and feel free to drop your opinion in the comment section.
The case of Natasha, if you decide to go against the powers that be, they look for a way to silence you. Remember, she also made allegation, sexual harassment, abuse of office, in malicious intention to deprive her of her legislative rights and privileges. It is not attended to. It has been thrown away by the Committee on Ethics. You remove her security. Then now you begin a recall. It then means there is a deliberate witch hunt. It has gone beyond standing order. And then when she says she wants to visit her people, governor come out, say they put a ban on public rally. So there is no movement of convoy. She had to use helicopter. So who is after her? And if you see the people who came to receive her, who are the other 250,000 people who want to recall her? And then you see video where people there for one room, they sign. Nobody has investigated it. Not even INEC or the police. The result that took that woman to the Senate, 54,073 votes. But under 2 days, they were able to gather 250,000 petitions. That is to show you that Nigeria's institutions have been weaponized against the people. And if you don't speak up because you think say she be senator, when it comes to you, there will be nobody left to speak.
Exactly. Have you been following the case of Natasha and Akpabio? And if you have, what have you been learning from this case? A quick recap will tell you that the lady was asked to move to another seat and an argument ensued, blah, 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 blah. And before you know it, she alleged that she was sexually harassed by the Senate president, and because of her action of declaring seat or whatever, she was suspended 6 months, which has never happened in the Senate. And because she was suspended, she took the fight. As far as I'm concerned, Senator Natasha is by far, for me, Woman of the Year. Hate her or like her, she is the Woman of the Year. Because this case has exposed a lot of things about this country, even though there are many outrageous things, but this one in particular exposed a lot of things. For instance, it exposed the fact that there are powers that be that determines what happens in this country. And if you go against this power, they will do everything to eliminate you. Not necessarily to unalive you, but to eliminate you. Now, when Natasha was suspended, she went abroad to, what's the name of that? Anyway, she took her case internationally. And she has persistently challenged the Senate president of her accusation. Now, I am not in a position to, say whether her accusation is right or wrong, or her accusations are right or wrong. The truth here is the drama that played in her recall. Now, a group of people orchestrated a scheme to recall her by claiming that over 240 electorates signed a petition to ask her to come back. Now, the place I want us to emphasize upon, and the particular place I want us to emphasize upon, is this place, INEC. Because a lot of people are saying that INEC is our problem, INEC is our problem. Yes, they are our problem, but then it's human beings that are operating that place. Now, INEC initially said that they were not interested in that case. And all of a sudden, they retracted and said that they will hear the case. Then later, they said they will not hear again. Well, it will be a surprise to any Nigerians to say that INEC is going to go back to the case again. But the truth here is this. When they said 240 people appended their signature to recall Natasha back, even though it was a little bit above 50,000 that elected her to the Senate. Question is, where did we suddenly get 240,000 people that say, no, we didn't send you, come back. You didn't come out to a day that was designated for you to vote, but you became available to recall somebody back. Well, this lady, Natasha, said, okay, she's going to come back home to prove whether there are indeed people who want her back. Now, they knew the game was going to, her coming to Kogi State was going to, her coming to our senatorial district was going to spoil whatever orchestration that was made. So the governor said, don't come. They banned all type of rally, blah, blah, blah. And then she took an helicopter. She took a helicopter from wherever she is to her place. That singular act endeared me to that woman. And then look at the crowd that came. Because if INEC had continued with the recall, the question would be, if you have 240,000 people that are asking this woman to come back, then where the hell did we get those people that are celebrating? Or are you telling me that those people who came to welcome Natasha in her constituent were two-faced hypocrites who, in one hand, are penning signatures to recall her, in one hand, again, they are rejoicing to be her representative? The truth is that I made a video asking Akpabio to drop this matter or find a way to resolve this matter quietly, and he didn't listen. Perhaps this second video will pull his ear. See, That woman has defeated you in this imbroglio. She has defeated you. Accept this defeat honorably and allow sleeping dogs to lie. But the main lesson that you must learn from this Natasha's case is that when the people come together, no matter how conniving the powers that be is or are, they will succumb. So when I hear people saying that, Tinubu, you couldn't remove Tinubu when he was not president, is it now that he's president that you want to remove him? Babangida stepped down. Oh, he's a military president. He stepped down. Jonathan was a president. They removed him. So don't give me this crap that because somebody, you've submitted this defeat to your mind to say that somebody is too powerful to be removed. I don't work that way. The truth is that nobody, no matter how dictatorial they are, no matter how powerful they are, can be stronger than the will of the people. Until the people realize that they can throw away their petty differences and come back and stand as one against all notable adversaries, the people will always come on top. That is the lesson to learn from the Natasha Akpabio scenario. My name is Magnus Oraka. Please follow this page and share this post now.
Telling them that, look, we are nearly completing the plant, but we cannot complete the 2% because we need the infrastructure set up. Because once the 2%, which is largely the blast furnace, once it's ignited, the blast furnace is to run for 25 years non-stop. That means many people say, why, if the Russians really wanted Ajakuta to work, why did they leave at 2%, at 98%? It's because if they had started, would have had a wholesome damage. And for these 3 years, which was more than enough to have the infrastructure running, the roads, dredging. At that time, they even proposed the dredging of River Niger. But not one letter was responded to. And they had to leave. It was a sad experience, they had to leave. It was more sad because, like I said, people like me, many Russians that came to Nigeria and got married to Nigerians, they were separated. My mother till today does not even have a Nigerian passport, even though my father wasn't working, but the rules were not so fair to many people. So when they left, I will read now. In October, when the Russians left, and we had such huge debt to pay, they did not take Nigeria to court. They kept on sending letters of reminder. How are you going to pay this? But most importantly, they reminded Nigeria, if you are interested in continuing the completion of your plant, let us know. We will come back. All we have to is renegotiate. But what happened was, in October 1995, I'm going to read from this part because there are some key words I don't want to miss. A series of debt buyback transactions took place, whereby the debt instruments were sold at inflated prices to Liberian companies, purportedly owned by the Abachas. The two companies are called Partner Shipping Corporation and Mecosta Securities. These are two companies that were registered in Liberia, and these are the two companies that bought the debts. Now, on one part, Partner Shipping Corporation and Mecosta Securities, on one part, they were negotiating the reduction of that near $1 billion debt. And Russia waved away over 400 million and said, you know what? You're a struggling country, you're a small country. Just pay $500 million. Forget about the rest. While on the other hand, the Abacha administration told Nigeria that the Russians insisted on the money, on the nearly 1 billion, and apart from that, there were debts incurred upon the debt buyback. So that amounted to 2.5 billion. So that means 2.5 billion were taken from our reserve, while only 500 billion was being paid. So that is the debt buyback. 2014. The Egyptian government embarked upon a huge project to dualize the Suez Canal. And that Suez Canal The President Sisi sold the idea so patriotically to the people that $8 billion was raised in 10 days. Mr. Speaker, these are facts. $8 billion was raised in 10 days from a country that has a population of just 91 million. They don't have individuals as rich as Nigeria. But what matters is leadership and the ability to connect to the people so that an average person on the street, the person roasting corn, the organizer, everybody will believe in this national dream. And a crime against Ajaokuta is a crime against Nigeria. And there is no court, supposing this $525 million was actually an order of the greatest court on earth. Nigeria is a sovereign nation, and we decide to allow criminals or not to allow criminals into our land, whether they are nationals, Nigerians, or foreign. So, sir, it's actually Nigeria's duty to ensure that people who have committed crimes on this land are not holding our most precious assets. Also, we would say that Ajaokuta and Itakpe must not be privatized or concession, but be owned 100% by the federal government of Nigeria and operated alongside the original builders only in areas of technical expertise. And once there is an absolute transfer of technology, the Russians can go. We believe we have seen Nigerians around the world conducting amazing things in engineering, so there is no reason why they shouldn't. We would also like to appeal that this Honorable House asks to get the executive to assemble a team of economic experts to travel to Russia, which I'm speaking with regards to the bilateral agreement, which is still standing open. Because we believe that once a country or two countries come together and agree on a particular reasoning, then that is binding on the nations. It's upon meeting with President Putin that Nigeria can then begin to decide the way forward. And I also agree with the previous speakers that there has to be a redesign of the steel sector. Why a redesign? Because when I visited Russia 2 years ago and I spoke with the original builders, they told me that the plan upon which the Nigeria steel industry is built, it was designed in 1971 by the geological survey conducted by these same original builders. And they said by now, the advancement of technologies and innovation in the sector has caused the realization and usage of new materials which were ordinarily not known to them then. They also told me that we might be oblivious of the fact that Rolls-Royce today, the great Rolls-Royce, uses important alloys sourced from Kogi State, probably supplied by illegal miners. But that is why I say it is very important that we call them back to conduct another survey, because probably in the modernization and upgrade of the plant, there could be new sectors that are injected so that new minerals can be incorporated. Thank you. And I would say again that I know many would talk about why am I promoting Russia? Why am I not promoting China and India? With due respect to every country's steel capabilities, the greatest steel plants in China today and 5 of the biggest steel plants in India, citing Belial, which for the 12th consecutive year has won the best steel plant in Asia, was built by this same company. So why? There's a very big question. What has Russia done, and why are we shying away from approaching the people who actually envisage this dream for completion? Nigeria must be ready for sanctions. That's one thing I'm going to say. It's not easy to go against the Western Bloc. We must be ready for sanctions because at the end of the day, we must dream of a big, great Nigeria. Because for all it's worth, trade is always better than aid. Trade is always better than aid. Nigeria should position itself to be a country that will give other African countries aid. We should be the country that Ghana, Kenya,